My name is Lydia Grignion. Lydia C. Grignion. I do not use the middle name because of reasons. I was born in Jamaica, St. Thomas, 1943, 8th of April. I went to school until I was 15. I take my Jamaica local exams. I passed two, failed one, and I got on the plane to England when I was 18 because I entered a scholarship and I failed for some and they wouldn't allow me in. They said my father had to pay money, which he did not have. So I said to my dad, I'll get on the plane and I'll find where the resources are because I'm sensible enough to know that all Caribbean islands pay Britain tax. And Britain has got roads, water, and light. And we ain't got none, especially we live in the rural areas. As a farmer, you gotta take a lantern to get home after you finish a mile. Then you turn in the hills where it's dark. And I did not like darkness, so I left. And I said, I'm coming to England. We are British Jamaican, and I'm going to work and educate myself, further my education, and that's what I did. But things never mapped out the way you planned it. A lot of mishap on the way, but I got there to the end my father died before I could prove to him that I did my studies in the university and gained a BA, which you'll be pleased, but it took some years to achieve that.
And you were 18 years old, weren't you?
When I came here.
Yeah. When you were on the plane leaving all your loved ones, how were you feeling going to a completely different country?
It was exciting. I remember my dad picked me up and said, how long are you staying away? I said 5 years. I was there 27 years before I got back to Jamaica. I couldn't even save the fare as fast as I did in the West Indies to come away.
When you landed, you said in your book that you saw, husbands and wives meeting each other and there was no one there for you. How were you feeling in that moment?
I just look at my address and I got on the plane, get on a train. Now, I saw two guys that worked for my father standing at the airport looking for a woman they might have been waiting for. And they shouted me, and I know nobody know me in England as Count. They used to call me Count back home for some reason. And I looked up and I thought, who is these people? And it was two guys who worked with my dad. And they said, I know where your brother is in London, Brixton. I'll take you there and you can go on to where you're heading for. And they took me to Brixton, to my brother's place where my brother lived, because I had a brother over here for years. And he was glad to see me. And next morning, he took me to Paddington and I got on the train to Bristol where I was going. And I got there to the address I was going, and that's it.
What did you do in Bristol? What was there for you in Bristol?
I thought that Bristol was a port that knows a lot about black people more than many parts of England and Liverpool. So I was heading to the places where people have seen faces like ours before, notwithstanding that they were racist, and I had to put my back against the wall several times to tell them where to go. They wanted to know where I got the name from, and I had to tell them, I've asked them if they've heard of slave trade, where they throw people overboard. Somebody fished them out the water and stamped their name on the backside and all that jazz. That's how I was behaving, like I didn't care. But I fought my way till I got a decent job, working in a hotel as a receptionist in Clifton. And I worked and managed, but I had to fight too much. I had to fight too many people to survive a day without arguing, because they were really racist down there. I think they were afraid of us because they knew what they did to the black people in Bristol in the past.
What have you done in the community?
In Derby.
Yes, since you moved to...
When I moved to Sheffield first and nursed there, then I did some nursing in Sheffield, and I didn't like Sheffield, so I came to Derby, and I was looking around, as I said, to find a place to leave my daughter, to get her ready for school, and there was no nursery, so I set one up, and to let her be ready for mixing with children. And then other people joined me, and that's how the Pear Tree little nursery had begun.
Was it an achievement for you to actually open up that nursery, or did you think this is...
Yeah, it was something for me to get up and get dressed in the morning and get out. Was there for 9 till 12:30. The people come and pick up their children, and I too were looking for a place for employment, and I got a job in Rolls-Royce. Now, I didn't know anything about industry because I've never worked in industry. Going around the factories in Jamaica where my father was a manager, let me know what machines look like when they're at work, but never working in it, just walk around the place with him. But I rang up Rolls-Royce and they said they weren't taking anybody on. So I turned up with my hair standing up on my head like I was mad, and the woman said, "Young lady, do you realize you got to wear a hat? If you should work in the industry, you'll get tangled up in the machines with your hair." And she said, "Come and I'll do an interview in a couple of months." And they called me and I went and I got the job there. So I was able to feed my kid and look after them, you know.
So how long were you running the nursery for?
I ran it for about a year. Then when I moved on and started working, I handed it over to other people, other mothers who wanted to continue the work and get their children ready for education or mixing in school. Because as we said, we didn't think babies should be going to school. They should be able to count to 5 or 10, and they should be able to don't cry when their mummies left them. That sort of thing we were trying to avoid, you know, so we did that.
How hard was it to open up the nursery? Did you have to come across, would you have to come across politics?
No.
Political
Opposition?
There was no problem. I think Pastor Pickup he's retired now, that run that something Life Church in Pear Tree. He was a young man then, and he used to come down there. And he was doing something at the council, at the city council at the time. I think he was involved in some works at the city council because he was one of the persons. They sent him to find me. After I went in there like a blazer raising hell, they sent him to come and find this mad person who was going on about a nursery. So that is where I met him, and I didn't have no politics around it. Only that they make sure that the children had aprons and there was no warm pipes about, and you know, I give them a biscuit and a little cup of milk. They do the painting with the aprons on till their parents come and pick them up. I sit and read them little stories on the ground, you know, on the floor. And that is why when I left it, everybody knew what was supposed to be done. I think it went on for about 4 years after I left there, and they changed it to other things, you know. But it was good for the area.
What else did you do? Well, you opened up a nursery, you started working with children before you went and got full-time employment at Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, well, I still worked in the community. Now this is where the community thing came in. In Rolls-Royce, you do 3 shifts. So every shift, there is a briefcase or something ready for another meeting somewhere. And it's not CRE meeting, which bitch was involved. It's the county council meetings that I had to go to, pre-agenda meetings in Matlock because I was attached to the labor with bookbinder. So I was up there twice a month dealing with issues, community issues, example, education, healthcare, places for children to be developed, are putting on projects for them, you know, let the children come off the street and do something positive, yeah? Dealing with young people of all ages in these projects. And that's where the excursions started going, and then we developed a group called CAS, Counseling Advisory Service. That is where the people come in for advice about housing, what you call it, immigration, passport problem, all that sort of things. And we run that in the community. That was what came out of me working and doing this as addition things in the community. Wasn't being paid, I just did it because we needed this help.
So how many people came together to start this?
Oh, a whole lot. Some were being paid by the council, and we joined them to form a consortium, you know, to deal with these things. Yeah. And most of the workers were Matlock employed, not city. They were employed by county council. because they were running the things, you say running things at the time, that city. Yeah? And bookbinder was very positive about what we do in Derby. He come down to see or give us grants to develop anything we started. We started sometime out of our own pocket. Like when we take the first 12 children to France, flying them on a plane. They've never been in a plane before. And bookbinder was, and he came down to see us the night before we went the morning. And the next year he allocates some funds to assist those sort of things,
Took on an airplane.
Yeah, France. We went to Lyon, Nancy, fly around, go around and travel through the places in the hills, ride horses, all sorts of things up there, We did.
So you said you left, you went to London first,
Yeah.
Bristol,
Yeah.
Sheffield,
Yeah.
Derby,
Yeah.
and you stayed in Derby.
Yeah.
So out of all those, London's the capital. What out of all those places that you moved to, why Derby? Why did your roots here?
I found Derbyshire people speak proper English. I don't speak proper English. I have a slang, but at the same time, I hope you understand me. But when I was in Sheffield nursing, I was called Dog, what was it? Doc, Love, and I hated that accent they had. I was in London, and that Cockney accent didn't wash with me either. And I came to Derby, and somebody spoke to me so good. I couldn't believe it. I thought, damn, here's somebody I can understand. And I even asked him, can you understand me? Because the way every Jamaican have a slang there somewhere. And he said, yes, you speak perfect English. I said, good, I'll stay here. And the air was cleaner than Sheffield because Sheffield was a typical steelworks that blackens your nostril, and I didn't like that. So down there was cleaner, and I stayed.
So, if let's say you were to sum up what people know you for in Derby for you are well known in Derby, but what would you say you're most well known for?
I'm known for dealing with the women issue. I coordinated Leopold Street. I was the manager for the West Indian Center for about 18 months, West Indian Association. I helped to develop a diary, which was known as something club we call it first, before it was now known as a diary. I was one of the pioneers of that thing. Derby Luncheon Club, we call it something. And then I moved on to taking children camping, a fortnight camping. I just found a picture in the book there where we were sitting in Wales with 100 children in camp any one time. And we asked parents to come along with us to help. And young men see me now and they said, Miss Lydia, when I was a boy, it's the best thing I ever did. I remember them days, they still remind me. So I could be remembered for a lot of things, involving with people, young and old. And Ujima was a center that deals with community issues. And we go in there in the morning, people is waiting for me to direct them what to do. They have problem with their passport, they have problem, especially the ones who did not change their passport after 10 years coming here. They had to pay their way to be called British again. And I had to sort out all those problems for the people. And threaten bookbinder, that he's got to sign checks for them to have it because they don't know no other. They weren't going anywhere. They didn't have no plan to return to Jamaica. So they did not, what's the word? They did not renew in their passport. And they had to pay to have it, to be called British again when they were British Jamaicans. And those are the problems we had, and we had to help to sort it.
Did Ujima have a meaning? Is there a meaning to the word Ujima?
The word is an African name. It has something to do with working in the community for its good. I think something to do with a community project, something around it. I forget what's the abbreviation in African terms, what it means, but it's something to do with community.
A lot of people talk about the change in society, and do you think you would actually open a nursery and run schools and teach young people that are
I would have liked to do that, but because I tell you, I was in the university and I saw some young girls who had children, and I brought them into the mess, and I said to them, if I go to the council and ask if we could find a venue for a nursery or, establish something, would it help you? She said, the girls, I said, yes. We started one at James's Street off Dairy House Road, the left there going toward Roselle Street. It was refurbished, rebuilt. It wasn't the poor man's child that got in there. It was the richer people's children that got in there because the poor person couldn't afford it.
So who set the fees?
Some counselors. My daughter came with me. They planted a tree and she was standing there when the picture come out. She wasn't in the picture. And the nursery which we put together in my front room did not serve the people it was intended to. So I threw in the towel. I said, never again.
So Martin Luther King, he had a dream, and babies would be having babies. When did you see the difference from his dream?
Well, when I saw my granddaughter have 2 babies in not even 24 months. And she said, the reason why I have them, Grandma, is because I was an only child, and I do not want my daughter to be an only child because I was afraid as an only child. I said, that's a good answer, but they got to be fed. And they got to be housed. And I said, darling, do you realize that we were in a better position than you are right now? Because when I was around and children was being born to the unmarried or the married person, there was a roof that was given to them. There was a place that they could inhabit. You ain't got nowhere. And I don't want you back in my house. I've done for you what I'm supposed to do. I'll bring you up in the world, and the society has changed everything that you don't have a place to live, and you can't even envision, what you call saving to get somewhere for yourself. I can't see it happening.
Do you think there's a community spirit, even if it's a vague one, that's existing today?
There might be, but because everything that everybody have in mind, there's somebody to water it down and wash it away. Even among our own people. The enthusiasm you may have when you walk into a place, I'm going to put that there, they water it down. So you cannot get anywhere, even among our own people. Do not see the need for this, do not see the need for that. I am not doing anything for nothing. I must be paid for this and that. That's not how things were.
What changed?
Need and greed and I don't know. I didn't want much. I just want comfort and able to walk free without being harassed by anybody. I didn't want to amass wealth. I wanted enough that I can give my friends, treat my friends, have them around me, but I don't know. There's not a lot of that's going on now.
What would you like to see return to the community that's been lost?
Togetherness, and people know what each other is doing socially, meeting each other. Sometimes people passed away. I remember the children because I had them around me, but I've never seen their parents. And I had to actually go to some people's house and raise hell for them to come out and come with me to camp to make a coffee and a piece of burnt toast. I said, do something for the person's child. Because every year, you send your child away with me for a fortnight and you sit playing around and don't do nothing. Do something. And that's how I get to meet the parents. And now I see the kids, and some of them are dying. And somebody said, don't you remember so-and-so daughter? I said, I don't know that they were linked with that person because I've never seen them together. Fathers I've never seen with your children. Mothers, everybody's working and running around. So nothing happens. So that is what I would like to see come back. People know where each other are. When you call somebody's name, you know who you're talking about. There's 4 people dead in Derby right now. And the names ring a bell, but ask me what they look like. We don't see each other. We don't have no dance hall, because I used to dance. I used to love reggae and rock and roll, and we are too old now to do that sort of thing, but we should be able to meet in a wine bar or a coffee bar and sit and have a coffee with each other. We don't see that anymore. It's ridiculous. People is just melting away like this. And the youngsters do not adapt any of the principles. They seem to do the same. You know, they just scatter, and until somebody dies, you may see the church full, and you think, where all these people come from? You know, they they come back to bury the dead, but you don't see them otherwise.
Do you think it's by design, or because we talk about divide and conquer, which should be the rule? Do you think it is by design?
Deep-seated, it might be. It's done in a way that you're not to notice it. It's deep-seated, institutionalized. But at the same time, we are birds of a feather, but we do not always flock together. And my father says, being born in a street doesn't mean you should die on the street. You should go about and get some experience. But at the same time, we overdo it that we lost each other completely. We lose our people completely. There's nothing there. I long to put some clothes on and go out and have a good time. I ain't got nobody to go have a good time with. It's gone. You want to come with me? Could teach you to dance rock and roll.
I'll come out and have a dance with you, yeah. You might get me into trouble though, I think. I think you get me into some trouble. You look like a troublemaker.
I can be sometimes, but it's for the good. I speak my mind, and I'm not afraid of telling people what I think, but I don't hold no grudges. And as they say, and I say something, and they say, and as Lydia said, I thought, stop calling my name. You know, they used to do that at Matlock when I raised hell about something. And as Lydia said, I thought, oh my God, what did I do? It's because I said it. People wouldn't say what I say, but I say it. And I miss those days. But you youngsters will have to start getting together again and start doing things. Come and ask the older ones, what would you think about? I think people should be there to advise. Say, this is how I do things. I'm not saying this is the way is the best way, but this is how you should have maybe gone about this, and then get things together. And I would love to be invited. The young ones inviting me to say, come and see what we're doing. You understand? This is what I would love to see happening. But I sit in my house, I close on my computer, I don't use it anymore because I don't want anybody to find me in that way. These things that they do. I use a phone, and I just don't use my computer anymore because I'm not with the people. I don't find anybody to be with. So
Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see.
Any change I would like to see?
Be the change that you would like to see.
Yeah, but it's going back. If I just get up and you people tell them, say, who I speak to yesterday, Lydia, where is she? Where's her phone number? Everybody, the house is filled with people. And I'm frightened because I can't do the things I used to do. I haven't got the strength. So I want young people to go out there and do it and ask me, but do not expect me to. He's all right for him. He's wears his baggy and he's gone. Leave us here with all the rubbish. Ganji. But I used to love to read about him.
So what do you do now to socialise?
Nothing much. I talk to my daughter, the troubleshooter in London. Every night I got to sit down and listen to the episodes. And then Sharon, the one that works in the Royal Infirmary, she's a social worker. I chat to her. Then I chat to the other social worker in Birmingham. I chat to her. My son, as usual, don't talk. He only come for food. But I don't go anywhere. I go to church some Sundays. I don't go anywhere now. There's nothing. I would have liked to write, but unless I take up my pen and my jotter and get on a plane, I don't see anything to write. Because I used to write little things. That's what I went to university for. I got my things in writing, columnists, writing for newspaper, writing short stories. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't do anything.
Sorry, Lydia, I have to stop.
Okay, you're laughing at me.
I'm not laughing at you. That was brilliant. My son, we just come down for food.
Yeah, that's it. He just come down for food. And if Christopher walk in the house and I say to him, Chris, where you going? Where you cook? I said, no. What do you mean you don't cook?
Kidding.
I thought, now, Chris, I've got a baseball bat in the house, I've got a machete. I'll beat you, he said. Oh, well. Try it if you can. Once upon a time you could, you can't do it now, you're old.
You said that you're old. You can't do the things that you used to be able to do. But if you had that one-time surge of energy, what would be the thing that you would like to do?
I'd like to write a dirty novel, dirty book, big one. And then I'd like to set up a drama school to do things the dramatic way we did things in the old days. Pass on some of that rubbish to the young. And they could take it on, take it to places from there. I'm a nut, I can't help it. I make people laugh when they should be laughing, you know. I mean, I can't help it, but I would love to do something like that. And write what comes in my head. Little poems. I was lying down on my back in Africa some years ago on the ground and I saw some ants and a fly. And this fly I hadn't seen since I left Jamaica. And I thought, flipping hell, man. This fly came out to greet me. He was dancing over my head, boom. And I've never seen that fly since I left home. And I wrote a poem. I went back to university when I came back to England and I read it and the class rolled over laughing. They said, Lydia, you're mad. I said, I know. Can somebody write a poem about a fly and an ant? I said, yeah, I did. But I was the oldest person in the class. And I said, I think different from the young ones. I see things differently. You know, they're writing about love and this, and I'm writing about a fly and an ant. And that's where my difference comes in. And my daughter read the poem and she said, my God, mother, they put you away, you know. It doesn't. These are the things I would love to do, you know. Get some young people who's hanging around the streets. I have this way when I meet a young man, I said, what are you doing? Nothing. I said, what is nothing? I've never heard, in my time, we never hear the word nothing, or I'm bored. You know, put some action into that. And this is how I'd like to take them off the street and do something with them. I took 16 youngsters to a place near Sheffield. Something, I forget the name of the place. It's like a old school. And by enough provide the food. And the women came and they cook, and I was trying to get all these guys off the street to go back in education. And I set up a what do you call it, heavy vehicle driving license. Yeah, HGV. And 3 people passed their tests. One of them went into business. Boys wasn't standing at the Normanton pub messing about. They had license for driving a car, but not a lorry. This is how I see things, and I say, give me some money, let me get these boys their license. And they did. Well, 3 of them passed. And this is how I do things, you know? It comes to my head, and I put it into action. And I'd love to see things are still happening. There's pools of money everywhere, but it's not being spent on the right things. There's monies out there. Lottery money. Who gets it? Community is nurturing.